Fortnite, you're going to be speaking to me with a little more reverence and respect than you did prior to this.
If I try to play beyond the hype.
How come I'm getting like Fisher Price questions?
Guys, what's your favorite color?
Welcome everybody to the Supply Drop Podcast. It's episode 72, and today we're going to talk about Palworld. It is Palworld, isn't it? Now that I say Palworld, it doesn't sound right, but I'm pretty sure it's Palworld.
Yeah, we're all pals here.
Yeah, Hogwarts Legacy. We're going to talk about, of course, the Xbox show, and then some Ubisoft putting their foot in their mouth. Or did they? We'll find out. And, of course, I am your host, Scott, to this time. Nate is still on hiatus, and I do, of course, have with me Thick. Thick, what's going on,
Hello.
man?
Hello. Hey, not much. It's kind of a quiet week this week in gaming, except for that one big event.
Yes. So. Yeah, and we'll be getting into that shortly. But how was your week, though? What have you been playing?
Oh, it's a light gaming week for me. So I've been, you know how I do Microsoft Rewards, and like I just try. There's this daily thing where I'm supposed to get one achievement per day, a Game Pass game.
Yeah.
And it would just give me like 50 points. Well, actually, no, I think it's 5 points now. They've been nerfing it in some areas, but they kind of buff it in other areas. So I've been playing Unpacking. It's a very small indie title. I think it's published by Humble Bundle. But it's basically a point and click adventure at the very core. But you're basically unpacking boxes and choosing where you put the items. And it's kind of, I guess you could categorize it as a cozy game.
Yeah, it's relaxing, right?
Yeah, it is pretty. Yeah. Well, it depends, because there might be like, you might be missing like a shoe or something. I don't think they actually miss a shoe, but it sometimes feels like you're missing a shoe, but it's in another box in another room. So you got to move that into the other room. I mean, it's all like a top-down perspective, right?
Right.
But it depends. I've moved a lot over the past years, so it's kind of relatable, because it kind of uses that whole moving process as like a storytelling, because like you kind of collect things and then you keep certain things and you kind of see certain things the character kind of keeps, right?
I see.
So it's very subtle, like like they keep maybe stuffed animals, maybe you kind of learn what they're doing, because like you kind of see like, you get their workstations, and like you kind of see how they grow as a whatever their kind of job they're going into, whether they have kids or not, whether they have a partner. So it's kind of interesting in that way, and it's kind of relaxing. I think I'm almost done. I'm trying to 100% achievement this one, because this seems pretty easy.
Now, is this like one scenario, like start to finish, or is it like different characters that you...
Just a single character you're kind of following. You never see the character, right?
All right.
You're just a little floating can.
It's like Gone Home, yeah.
Yeah. It's all environmental storytelling, which I think was really well done. There's some little aspects to it, to like, you could change the angle of where you put the stuff. You could stack certain things. You can't stack everything. You could put like maybe like a wig on a mannequin, stuff like that.
Yeah. Is there a score? Like if you do this really poorly, does it like...
No. There are some levels where I'm like, I just want to complete it, so I just put things wherever I want it. Yeah. And then there's, some sneaky places where I hide things, but I mean, that's about it.
Yeah, like really, like you do when you unpack, when you move in.
Pretty much. Like, I put everything. Sometimes there's a lot of boxes, so you just kind of unload everything on the bed, which is kind of relatable, because like the bed takes up so much space.
Yeah,
right?
You got to see it. You got to see it to put it up. Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. That sounds relaxing. Is this on Steam or?
It was on Game Pass, but you can play it on Steam. It's kind of like everywhere, but it's an easy 100. You could,
I see what you're saying.
Within a day.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But I mean, without knowing or without doing the quest thing, I think this is a nice like little detour, right? It's just like a little side quest essentially.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I might check that out. I mean, that's. Cozy game sounds good right about now. We're still in like
Storm.
Frost Armageddon 2024. We're going on day 6 of this, and
is this? I didn't realize it was still going.
Yeah. I got up this morning and the temperature was 9. So everything that melted a little bit, just completely refroze into this very
oh.
slick, very, like glassy ice. I'm kind of done with it. I live in the South, so I mean, we get snow, but
not this.
we get snow for like a day and a half.
Yeah.
This snowed Monday. It's now Sunday. I mean, I don't know if I should like start writing a journal or I don't know, but it's yeah. So I've gotten some gaming in because of it.
Fair.
Yeah. But really what I want to talk about is the Palworld. This thing is blown up. I mean, it is literally blown up. I just checked the Steam charts on this, and it is currently at 901,000 players and 1.3
Baldur's Gate, right?
beating probably. Yeah. It beat Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike is now number 2. So I don't know if you've played this or not, and if you don't know what this is, it looks like Pokemon with guns, but that's not exactly what it can be that, but what this is it's a survival game. So where you see these Pokemon-like creatures is not, you're not getting them, to take to some city and fight. I don't know anything about Pokemon, so I'm probably just, talking out of my ass for a second. Am I close? I'm probably close. No, what you do is you so far, I mean, as far as I've gotten into it, you collect them, and you have one that's in your base, and you put him to work. He's like a little slave. Basically.
Oh, yeah, I think I heard about that.
Yeah, so he does like all the work in your base, and he collects things and does like that. Okay, and then the other ones, you just go out and you beat them into submission and then collect them. And then you can create things in your base, like if you have these chicken-looking round things, they'll lay eggs, and then you have some sheep-looking things that will produce, like wool, stuff like that. So it's basically you're creating a farm from these creatures, and at the same time,
human trafficking.
Pokemon trafficking, is basically what it is. So, and it is a survival game though. So you have to find food, you have to eat, you have to, create, you have to make a hatchet and go get wood, and so it's it has a lot of the regular survival tropes that most games have, right? So, I don't have a gun yet. I'm just creating a base and kind of upgrading my base. So I don't think that really sounds like a Pokemon game. I know my kids have played Pokemon, but it doesn't sound like that. One guy on Steam, the reviews just simply said, "This is Pokemon Black and Blue." It's a video of him hitting these things with a stick. So, but I'm not quite sure why this is blown up so big, other than I think this is a group of people that have grown up with Pokemon, and this is kind of like the next step. This is like the grown-up version of that, maybe.
I feel like it's just a viral idea of Pokemon with guns.
Maybe.
That is the draw. I mean, this is... I feel like this will probably drop off substantially.
I think it's gonna.
It's a game for everyone.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't know if it's a game for me. I mean, I like survival games to a certain extent, but if it doesn't have something, if you don't have progression in it or a clear line of progression, I get kind of bored with it. And this one doesn't. So, that's what I've been playing. I kind of jumped on that. It's on Game Pass. I've been playing it on PC. It performs really well. I haven't tried it on Steam Deck.
I heard it performs pretty bad on Xbox.
On the Xbox Series S, I did play it on that. I didn't have any issues with it.
Oh, I think specifically the Series X for some reason.
Really? Oh, that's kind of weird.
It is a lower resolution.
On
Series S.
Yeah, it is, and it's it is an Unreal Engine game. It's Unreal Engine 5, so that and it is early access. Let me point that out. So if there are any performance issues or anything or bugs, that's that's a clear definition of early access. But yeah, it's an interesting game. It's on Game Pass. You can go check it out. I'm really surprised to see those numbers on Steam. But yeah, I think a month from now we probably we won't be talking about this game. The next game that comes out, it'll.
It's probably Final Fantasy. That's probably what we'll be talking about.
Yeah. But who knows? I mean, you never know. I mean, survival games, the numbers will drop, but this will probably be somebody's game for the next 5 years.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I'll check it out probably this week or something.
Yeah, check it out and see what you think. I mean, it's a pretty game. It the graphics are pleasing. They're not realistic, obviously. I mean, if you've seen any pictures of them, but yeah. I mean, it runs fine and it looks good. So yeah, check it out and see what you think. But other than that, it's just been kind of I feel a little bit like Kurt Russell in The Thing. So yeah, but anyway. So were you playing anything else? Is that it for you? We can.
I don't know. It really is kind of a late week. So.
Yeah, I mean, I played, I got a Steam Deck. I got Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2, which is an older Xbox, original Xbox game.
Yeah.
And it plays really good for the Steam Deck, this is a top-down kind of action RPG. Select your character. It's based on Dungeons and Dragons. I'm sure, everybody's played Dark Alliance on either PS2 or Xbox.
I feel like I never got a chance to play it, but I remember seeing tons of advertisement for it.
Yeah. It's fun. It's just a fun dungeon crawler. You level up, you get loot. It's a really good game for the Steam Deck because you can just, kind of veg out and kill goblins.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned Hogwarts Legacy. So did you?
I know last week. I kind of put that. I was like, I'm gonna finish this game before Dragon's Dogma. I did play a little bit of it here and there.
But you don't count.
But
it didn't really get much going.
I didn't get a lot of progress there. No. So
okay.
I think probably what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick it back up and I'm just gonna streamline that story mode. Just I mean, not really story mode, but you know what I mean. It's just like. Do just the main quest of everything and just kind of knock it out and feel like I got my money's worth out of it.
Yeah, I see a lot of people recently just mentioning how repetitive the Hogwarts Legacy game is. I don't know if you feel like there's a level of that.
I didn't really feel like there was repetitiveness yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think the progression is good enough and the spells that you get.
The combat.
Yeah, the combat is interesting. It's one of those games that's like if you watch somebody play it, it's like, that looks really boring. But it's really not because there's a lot going on there that you have to do when you're in combat. And it's all real time. But I never really felt like it was repetitive. Although have an action sequence, then immediely go into cutscene and then cutscene and then cutscene, those games, the Sony-fied games, just a little weary of. So other than that, I know when you get like your room where your secret room where you can, I'm not giving anything away if you haven't played it by now, you can decorate it and add stuff and have all this stuff. That's where maybe the repetitiveness starts, where you're kind of just doing this stuff and then going back to your room and then doing this stuff and going back to your room. But so far, no. But I'm going to try to finish it before Dragon's Dogma 2 comes out because I know I won't drop it. I do have some time, unless something else comes out that takes all my time, which I do know that Enshrouded, which I have talked about here before, comes out on the 24th, which is mere days away.
It's kind of early access right now, isn't it?
It is early access. No, it's not out. It starts early access on the 24th.
Oh, okay.
They did have a demo for Next Fest, and this is also another strategy game, but it's not so much a strategy game as it is an action strategy game, I guess you could say. Like it's a role-playing game with survival gameplay mechanics, which I love that. So I'll be playing that too. And if that's a hit, if that's really good. I'm probably not. I'm just going to be honest. I probably won't finish. Yeah, Hogwarts will get shelved again. It'll, especially if that game was good on the Steam Deck, it's probably going to get uninstalled.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So anyway, so moving on, we've got some news. We've got some tidbits. I like to call these are tidbits, right?
They're a little bit smaller, yeah.
They're a little bit smaller. Let's start with yours, and this is Ubisoft.
Well, one thing. Do we
Yeah.
have any rumors? I don't think there's
I didn't.
much rumors.
Yeah, there's not much rumors. I think did we talk about Halo last week?
I forget if we did, but it's supposedly canceled. I think it makes sense.
It's kind of going back and forth. Yeah, it's
I mean, it was originally a rumor to begin with, right? So it's like,
well, yes and no. I mean, Max Hoberman, head of Certain Affinity.
yeah.
He is. He did say that they're working on something Halo.
Mhm.
What it is, and that I think was more speculation than anything else. And everybody thought it was it was going to be
Battle Royale.
a battle royale game or some iteration of that. Now, the rumor is that has been canceled. Certain Affinity is now working full time on something with 343 Studios, being like either a backup or a collaboration for something Halo.
Okay.
Now, if that has any truth to it, which a lot of times they have some truth to it, my guess is that whatever they were working on probably got bigger and changed from a battle royale, which is probably a good idea, to something
To
else,
Extraction
something bigger.
Royale.
maybe something completely new.
Yeah.
Max Hoberman, if you don't know who he is, when you talk to somebody on Xbox in a party chat, you can thank Max Hoberman. Or when you go from one match to another with all your buddies, you can thank Max Hoberman. This guy, practically invented that stuff on console. So he kind of knows Halo, and he does know, he's pretty smart. So whatever they're working on, the fact that they're working on it with them is, I think, a positive. So rumor or not, if it got canceled, it's probably just canceled because they're working on something better. So I guess you can kind of read that any way you want to.
Yeah. I mean, no, you put it that way. I think I hope that's the case.
Yeah. So that was really the big rumor that I heard.
Yeah.
But everything else, I mean,
Not much this week.
whispers in the wind. Yeah. So anyway, so let's get to this Ubisoft thing, man. You got a little thing. You sent me something and said it's questionable. So now I'm curious.
It's questionable. Well, let's talk about the thing. The big. Well, let's talk about the official news. Is that Ubisoft Plus, as of the 15th, is changing. It kind of changed alongside the Prince of Persia game, which, by the way, got pretty good reviews. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not, necessarily surprised, but I'm happy that it did get good reviews. I do have Ubisoft Plus right now, and I mean, I'll play it eventually. Honestly, I've had it for like 3 months already at this point.
Yeah.
And I haven't really played any Ubisoft games, so they're getting free money from me. And I guess it's working because now they basically previously there was 2 tiers. There was the PC access, and then there was the multi access, which included like Xbox and whatever, like cloud, any other platform that has Ubisoft Plus. Now it's kind of split. There's Ubisoft Premium, which is now the multi-access. There's no PC access anymore. PC access is now the multi-access, which is the most expensive one. So no more. You're basically getting like a $3 increase in your price if you're just PC.
Really?
But if you already had the subscription, you get to keep that price.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
But like anyone else coming on board now will have to pay $18 basically.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, with Ubisoft Premium, you get all the DLC and everything, and you get little bonuses each month and whatever. That Ubi rewards thing? Like when you click on it, you get a little kickback, right?
Yeah.
Like currency or something, or like a XP boost, because a lot of their games do have XP. So.
Yeah, you get stuff in the Uplay store.
Yeah.
Like I remember playing Division 2 and earning enough to get like, just cosmetic stuff. But you'd have to actually go to their website and or their app on Xbox and collect it. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, pretty much. Now they also now have a new tier, which is the classic tier, which is $8 a month, which is more reasonable. I think they actually have that on PlayStation Plus right now. It's part of PlayStation Plus. You get like, basically the older titles, probably a lot of PS4 titles and
Right.
just like the classic titles. So, this is, I guess, a fine change. So basically, they did say that in this interview with GameBiz, which is where actually the controversy comes on. There is uh, their projections are higher, or let me, well, how do I put it? Uh, they've gotten more subscribers since October,
Hmm.
so they've been doing pretty well, and we're kind of starting to see a regular cadence of Ubisoft games. So they're really trying to put the subscription model more in the spotlight.
Right.
But the quote that people are kind of tripping over is that basically to summarize it, because I'll give you the whole quote in a little bit. Ubisoft wants you to be comfortable with not owning your games.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people are kind of taking this out of context. Let me give you the full quote. Let me find the full quote real quick. Uh, One of the things, okay, here's the quote. One of the things we saw is that gamers are used to, a little bit like DVD, having and owning their games. That's the consumer shift that needs to happen. They got comfortable not owning their CD collection or DVD collection. That's a transformation that's a bit slower to happen in games. As gamers grow comfortable in that aspect, you do not lose your progress. You resume your game at another time. Your progress file is still there. That's not been deleted. You don't lose what you built in the game or your engagement in the game. It's about feeling comfortable with not owning so it's about feeling comfortable with not owning your game. I still have 2 boxes of DVDs. I definitely understand gamers' perspective on that, but as people embrace that model, they will see that these games will exist, the service will continue, and you'll be able to access them when you feel like. That's reassuring. That's kind of like the majority of what that quote is.
Hmm.
I don't know. Do you have any take on that? I have a little.
Well, I
There's a little bit
think,
more quotes.
yeah. I mean, what the quote was that blew up on Twitter was that Ubisoft tells you, get used to not owning your games.
Yeah.
Which, that's, you can take it as that in a way, but we have to remember that we don't really own our games anyway. It's just like movies. I mean, even if you buy them on a disc, you don't own it. I mean, you own the disc. You can do whatever you want to with the disc, but the actual game on it is not your possession. And just like if you buy it physically, it changes. Just like the digital version. So I kind of see what he's saying is that as people that grew up watching Netflix, right, that don't really have that connection to that physical library, right?
Yeah.
That didn't grow up with like the vast number of VHS tapes and stuff. They grew up just, here's a phone, watch a movie, right? So I think that's kind of what he's talking about is there are people that are used to that's just kind of their thing. But with him saying that, oh, look, here's all your stuff, it's still there. It wasn't it Ubisoft that shut down a bunch of accounts that were inactive for so long, and then losing any purchases or anything, or was that maybe that's my bad memory?
I think that might have been Sony, but it's like Ubisoft's not the only one to do that, right?
Well, right.
But I would say that they did shut down a numerous amount of like online services for previous games. So
yeah,
where he says that you don't lose anything, it's not completely true. So I can't exactly say I agree with that part, but I mean I think the part where it's like the part that everyone's kind of like all over the comfortable with not owning your game.
mm-hmm.
I mean here's a little bit more context. There's more to the original quote. And by the way, I think I forgot to mention this was by Philip Tremblay, the director of subscriptions. So he's he's
Yeah.
incentivized to talk about
Right.
subscriptions
He's
he's the head.
Yeah.
But here's some additional talking points he kind of pointed out. The point is to not force users to go down one route or another, he explains. We offer purchases, we offer subscription, and it's the gamer's preference that is important here. So he literally just pretty much says he understands, right?
So where did this quote get taken, and how did it get taken off?
Yeah, it's the usual internet discourse on this. It's Ubisoft,
media.
Easy target.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is an easy target, but it just goes to show you that we've all fallen into that hole of, oh, I saw something here. Oh, I saw something here. Oh, it's getting worse. It's getting worse, and then just to find out that it really wasn't anything to begin with, and somebody just kind of threw it out of perspective.
It doesn't help that the title of the GameBiz article, which I think GameBiz is usually pretty legit, was just basically the being comfortable title, which was really easily taken out of context. So
if you just read a title, then you can and take everything from just that title instead of actually reading the article. That's what it is. But it is a hot topic. It's some people are very passionate about their physical library. I don't understand it, but they do. Well, that's a terrible way to preserve a game anyway. I mean, if you've got like PS2 games and you got a disc and you got a PS2 sitting around, well, if that PS2 breaks, then all of your discs are absolutely worthless until you purchase or try to or find another PS2. That's a terrible way to preserve anything. I mean, that's my opinion, but I don't think I'm wrong.
I can agree to that.
I mean, not to say that digital is the best way to do it, but if you can have the game, if they continue to make the game available to newer audiences and newer hardware, then that is how you preserve game. Whether it's digital, physical, it doesn't matter. As long as it's available for current hardware, that is game preservation, I think. Right? I mean, I think that. But
as long as you can, I guess, get a copy of it. But I mean, I'm sure there's websites that are trying to preserve more of the digital games. The only problem is the online games. But the problem with live service or online games is they're constantly changing, right? You can't just preserve one version.
I mean, think about Destiny 2 came on a disc for PlayStation 2. Okay. So, I mean, a PlayStation 4. So if you took that disc now, if you went and got one from day one and put it in your PS4, it'd go, I don't even know what is this? You now have to download a 160 gig patch, which is the new game from scratch, right? So you're not even, that's not even a preservation of those games. It all has to do with the current state of it. And sometimes you probably don't want that game. You don't want I think I've still got a physical copy of, was it Battlefield 2042 somewhere? I bought for $7. God, I can't imagine putting that in and playing it. I mean, it won't let you, right? It has to download, all the good stuff that make it good. So anyway. All right. Well, that's something that we can talk about for probably several hours.
It's going to keep popping up. I think this is the year of physical media dying in a way. Because I think, Walmart's starting to pull games off their shelf.
Walmart and Best Buy have said this year they're going to pull movies off their shelf.
Yeah. I've heard Xbox games are going to be the first ones to kind of go. Yeah. And I mean, that will tie into the showcase a little bit, which we'll talk about. So talk about it a little bit.
And one thing, also, I go to a lot of Walmarts because I travel, and they're usually open before everybody else. And, if you have to go to the bathroom or something, you kind of want to stop at, somewhere that's not shady. And I always go to the back bathroom because, you stretch your legs and walk around a little bit. Yeah. And it just goes right, happens to be right in the electronics department. So I always go back there. And I swear, all these pictures you see on Twitter of there's no Xbox games here. Look at all these PS5 games. Okay. every other Walmart I go to, I've been to Walmarts that there was not one single Nintendo game on a shelf. Not one. Zero. Absolutely zero. They had hardware, they had everything else, zero. Then I go to another one, there's no PS5 games, not a one. Like the whole thing is blank. They're all there. All the tags are there with the price. There's not a game in there. Xbox, Nintendo, fully stocked. It's retail. They're moving things around. They're doing it's whatever. It's not having to do with that. But yeah, I do think though this year might be the year where we're seeing either fewer or maybe none being replenished as far as stock. So get used to it. You gotta it's just not, we can't do anything about it. So the reason to do it is just nobody's buying physical. So anyway, all right. Well, are we good with that? Can I get into mine? Because it's super interesting.
Yeah.
It's actually not. This is not. This is something I saw, and I didn't. This will put it in perspective. Okay, so Hogwarts Legacy, which was a massive hit last year, it beat Call of Duty in sales last year. Now that doesn't sound like a big thing, but I want to put this in perspective. This has been a 14-year streak, according to Kotaku, which I didn't believe Kotaku could actually make something informative. But here is the list. Here's the breakdown of this. Hogwarts Legacy beat Call of Duty in sales in 2023. 2009 was the first time that Call of Duty beat out every other game in sales. 2009, right? Yeah. It then did so every single year up to 2023. Can you imagine? Every Call of Duty that came out from Modern Warfare 2 to Modern Warfare 2, but put that, let that sink in, has topped the charts in sales, and a little wizardry game beat it. I think that's, I don't know. I brought this up because is this like a super stellar game? Is it super popular? Or are we starting to maybe see the decline of Call of Duty after,
I think it's a little bit of both,
14.
Right?
I think so, maybe. Maybe Call of Duty.
Xbox purchased Activision. That's why.
Yeah, we can blame Xbox. Yeah. It's because of Xbox. Well, we do know that Modern Warfare 3 is not the biggest seller, but it also didn't review quite well. It didn't review as well as last year's. But they're kind of up and down. The multiplayer's fine. It's just really the campaign. It's funny how Call of Duty is. If the multiplayer is great, and then it's nobody says anything. If the campaign's bad, if the campaign's good and the multiplayer's bad, nobody says anything about the campaign. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
It's like whatever's good about it, nobody talks about it. We only talk about what's bad about it.
What's the one that was it was Advanced Warfare, right? The one that got the most downvoted, blah blah blah, for a while.
No, it was actually Infinite Warfare. It was the space one.
Oh, Infinite Warfare.
Which that campaign is absolutely awesome. It is fantastic.
I've heard, yeah.
It is
like I've seen.
It's great. It's great. You start on the ground, you fight, you get attacked, you get in a little ship, you fly up to a bigger ship, then you get into another smaller ship, and then you fly out of that ship, shoot a bunch of dudes, fly back into the big ship. No loading screen, not one. No loading screen. And the whole game is in real time. When you start that game at a certain point, it is the whole game is in real time. Like the whole 8 or 9 hours of it is it doesn't break it up. You're not playing different people at all. It's just, man, it's fantastic. Multiplayer is garbage. It is absolute garbage. So that's what we remember that as. Infinite Warfare was it was the worst one because the campaign was phenomenal. So
yeah, when I saw the trailer for Advanced Warfare for the campaign, I thought it was like, wow, this looks pretty good.
Yeah, I'm like, it's like Call of Duty, Star Wars. Let's go. Everybody's like, well, whatever.
Well, I mean, people were not into the whole conversion of the theme. That's why they went back to what was after this?
World War II.
World War II?
Yeah.
Which I like that one. to be honest.
It was good too. Yeah, I like the campaign was good. The multiplayer was it was off to a little rocky start, but it seemed to.
I kind of like the shotgun in the multiplayer there.
Yeah, the trench gun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too. I liked that version. But it's yeah. I mean, I don't know. So anyway, this game, knocked it out of the park. I mean, there was some notable, like, other ones. Was like the 2013 Grand Theft Auto 5, of course, was the top seller that year. So, and then Red Dead Redemption 2 was the top seller in 2018. But we're talking about, like, marginally, like, just, Hogwarts Legacy just beat them with a stick. So, but yeah, I thought I'd bring that up. It's, great for those guys. Those guys that made this previously just made those, like, kids type Harry Potter games that were just, that for EA, just kind of like movie
the
throw-ins.
Cheap license games.
Yeah, that's like, oh, we'll throw this game. And then they make this. I mean, good grief, man. Good going, guys. I mean, absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's no Palworld, though.
No, it's not. There's no guns in it.
Yeah.
Even though you do beat some trolls with stuff. But, yeah. Fun game. Check it out. All right. Cool. Okay, so what do we got next? So that was my story, and I think we can go ahead and jump into the Xbox Developers Direct. Yeah. So
one thing I like is the title. They actually have like developer_direct as if it's like a file, and then the whole thing where they're dragging and clicking icons.
Yeah.
I like this format. I like that they kind of like given it its own little character. So
I did too. I'm glad you brought that up because I noticed that too. I like this much better, and we've talked about this before. It's like when Phil Spencer comes out and talks for like 5 minutes about we want to just it's like it's all just marketing speech. They gave the spotlight to the developers and really the developers only. That's all we saw was just the developers. So, which is a developer direct. And I also love that they had 4 of these and then they click and like dragged over another one.
Extra, yeah. I like that.
Yeah. So let's start with you.
What? The whole thing.
Yeah. What did you think of like the whole thing? Like what?
Overall, I was pleased. Like I had to watch it like 1 or 2 times. I watched it at work a little bit, but then I'm kind of busy, so I'm just kind of listening to it too. I think it's kind of developing its own trope with the whole like walking slowly, panning over monitors. But I get it. It's kind of like just B-roll, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, I enjoyed it for the most part. I thought, I kind of feel bad for the Aura developers because I feel like it's such a niche. Game that like I most people haven't covered it. I don't know if we can confidently cover it either, But I mean,
it's a Civ game. Yeah. It's not something that I typically play. Although I have played Civilization years and years and years ago, but failed at it miserably. But yeah, I did too. I like this a lot. I like the format. I like that it wasn't like 3 hours long. And again, we didn't get ahead of something talking about blah, 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 blah. They just kind of went in it and just showed us the games. And I do like, probably one of the few, I don't know about you, but I like to see where these games come from. I mean, even if it's just like you said, just like kind of like a quick shot of the office and, showing the people that are there, showing them, their layout and everything. I think that's interesting. I love those old documentaries like Halo 2. If you got the limited edition, it came with a documentary about them making Halo 2. And it's really good. You can go on YouTube and watch it, but I love that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say this is exactly like the same as a documentary, but I do like the style.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I like it's like, here's where your game is coming from. This is what we're doing is how we're, working on it. So I've got kind of a breakdown here. Let's go ahead and start with our History Untold. Now, you and I both, I think, agree that this is not really our game, but man, this game is pretty. Yeah. It is
pretty. It
looks good. And you can tell these guys really know what they're doing with this thing.
Now, this is Oxide Games. They said they've worked on this for at least 5 or so years.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know if this is their first game as a studio, or do you know?
I believe so. I believe it was a new studio, and there are some guys from some from other Civilization game studios. So it's some seasoned people.
They're based in Maryland.
Yeah,
So
yeah, close to Bethesda.
yeah.
So, but yeah,
Oh, they worked on Ashes of Singularity. Remember that one?
No.
That was kind of like a benchmark on PC. Pretty much a similar genre, a strategy game.
okay.
But AMD used to use this game kind of like to benchmark their compute power.
Oh,
if I
okay.
recall.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Maybe that's why it's so pretty, because Ashes of Singularity was pretty.
Yeah, yeah. These guys obviously know how to do it then, because that game looks amazing. It's almost pretty enough for me to check it out. It's going to be on Game Pass, so
I want to give it a chance, because I feel like these are the sort of games that are hard to portray unless
Yeah.
you're really into it.
yeah. And I'm just not
I
very
tried
good
Civ.
at it. Everyone
You tried
dies.
Civ too, right?
It was Civ. I want to say it was Civ 3,
Mm-hmm.
I think, which is I think not the good one. But yeah, everybody died. Everybody got like polio or something.
Civilization
it was-
wiped off the earth.
Yeah, it was just like, and then I just started it's like, how long can you go without working water? Click, just getting maniacal with it. So yeah, I'm not very good at it. But this one comes out in fall 2024, which is this year. So we can we can look forward to that.
That seems like a theme so far.
Yep.
The fall.
Yep.
I'm curious if that's. It seems like the end of the year will be heavy compared to the beginning.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, we're going to talk about 5 games. They're all coming out this year, and then we're going to talk about which one's going to get bumped 2025.
Yeah.
So the next one up is Avowed. Now, personally, I am super excited about this game, and them showing new footage of really the RPG aspects to it, like talking to people. And I know that one of the characters sounds like Dell from Gears 5 and 4. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy. He's an excellent voice actor. But the animations look good. The characters look great. The combat looks really fun. It looks like a mixture of real time and maybe, God, dare I say it? But
It's very Skyrim-esque.
It is, and some of it is, some of it isn't. Some of it looked like it was kind of like, okay, freeze. Okay, I'm going to do this and this and this, and then you kind of let it go. But yeah, but the melee stuff does. It looks like it's first-person melee combat, which is, if you do it right, it's a lot of fun.
It's definitely more weighty, like definitely more
Yes.
modernized.
Yeah.
The best thing I liked about the combat was the parry system. You know, that little circle that kind of appears.
Yep.
Like, I haven't seen a first-person game really do that much. Maybe there is a game that's done it, but I just haven't noticed.
Not
But
one
I
that
thought-
actually gives you like a little indication, like it
Yeah.
would in a third person. Yeah, yeah. I like
Didn't
that a lot too.
Greedfall do something similar like that? I don't know.
I played very
Or am I
little
thinking-
of that. I don't remember it doing.
It might be Kingdom Come. Like, I get those two games mixed up. But
Kingdom Come was first person,
Yeah.
and it had that combat was really weird. I don't know if it was.
Yeah,
It was
just
really
probably
strange.
wasn't. Yeah, it probably didn't betray it very well.
Yeah.
So, but I think the little indicator is kind of nice, because
Yeah.
like I don't care to just look exactly where the sword is going and pairing it that way. I did think the general animation looked slightly janky, but the character models were very detailed. It was very very high res.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree. I mean, it looked like. Well, I mean, this is not it's not a 1,000-person studio. We got to keep that in mind. And also, this is a smaller group working on this. They've also got another group working on another undisclosed game, and also another group working on Outer Worlds 2. So but I'm telling you, this is what we want. You don't think you want this, but you do when games start rolling out that are hopefully really good from these smaller studios. They're sustainable. We might get Avowed DLC or Avowed 2 or Avowed 3, or if it sells well, and whereas you keep making these $500,000 to make games and failing at them, it's going to put you under. But anyway, I liked what I saw for Avowed. It was about what I expected as far as like the quality of the graphics and the characters from Obsidian. But what's really cool about Obsidian is their stories and how they handle role-playing games. Anybody that's played Fallout New Vegas or Outer Worlds, you've got that kind of humor and then that darkness that is always kind of underlying, in your choices that you make. And the choices that you make in the games actually do matter. And they do affect those people or other things or maybe even the world. And that's what you want to play. That's why we play role-playing games. That's what a role-playing game is. So I'm confident that they will have that. They're not just making like a Skyrim action game. They're making their own first-person version of Pillars of Eternity. So
yeah, so it is taking place in a different continent. So it's a new area of the Pillars of Eternity.
Yeah. So they can they have a little bit of freedom to kind of make it look, and the areas that they showed were gorgeous. I thought they looked great.
Yeah, I think so too.
But some of them look really, I don't know, it just the scale of this game, I can't really get a picture of
a grasp on it, right?
Yeah, it looks, some of it's like, oh wow, this is open world, you just go anywhere. And then some of it's like, it looks very like confined. I don't know. They're not really. I mean, have they said this is open world, like an actual?
I really don't think it will be. I think it will be closer to Outer Worlds. Now, Outer Worlds too. I've gone back to that game like over the past year, and it is a pretty game. It is a pretty good.
It is,
game.
yeah, it is.
But it's definitely more limited in where you can go, and I feel like this is what's going to happen with this game. They'll just do a very good job masking it, right? I thought Outer Worlds did a decent job masking it too in some areas, not all areas, and maybe what they intentionally showed here were the more open areas.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay if the areas are interesting and you can, there's stuff to do in those areas, not just like, hey, go to this person and talk to them and then go do what they want and then leave that area. If there's other stuff that you can run into, and they're good about that too, finding things. It's like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? And then you're off doing a 3 or 4 hour quest that has nothing to do with the main quest at all. So there's a lot there, I think, to be excited about. And this is on one of my top list for 2024. I didn't say it last year, obviously, because we didn't have a release date. I thought it could be further than that. But as many times as we've seen this and when they announced it, I think fall 2024 is pretty solid. I may eat those words, but I think...
Hopefully no delays, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, the next one you could probably speak more of because you might have more of a history of this to this game than I do, but this is Visions of Mana.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, this is the one behind your head there. This game looks amazing. It is just drop-dead gorgeous. Yeah.
It's definitely Trials of Mana. Okay, so this is being developed by Grezzo, which hasn't actually really developed a game for Xbox in a while, I think, because I think the last game they might have done was Final Fantasy 11. Was that on Xbox? I forget.
11.
The MMO. It might have been on the original.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
it was on 360. Yeah, because I played the beta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is their first time pretty much coming back. They've developed a lot for Nintendo and Sony, but Grezzo is finally coming back. I played their smaller titles before. Let me find an example because I had an example. I don't want to try to find it right now, but they've released a lot of tiny titles on like the 3DS, and I enjoyed them. I think Ever Oasis it's like kind of a unique little RPG that they released on 3DS near the end of its lifespan. So they make pretty interesting games, I would say. Yeah. I think for Visions of Mana, I think it'll be definitely more just RPG action RPG, kind of like Kingdom Hearts ish, because like that's kind of how all the Mana games have been. They've been action RPGs.
Yeah.
You kind of just have a band of characters that kind of go together. I think they mentioned in this one, and all the animations to a lot of the enemies, they've really improved upon from like previous games. Like this looks like what Tales of Arise did for the Tales series. This looks like,
Yeah.
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 So
Upgraded graphics.
Yeah, definitely like in terms of like anime-esque graphics, this is probably one of the best I've seen so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm pretty excited for this one. I was hoping that they would have announced like the previous Mana games for Xbox. But I mean, that's still kind of wishful thinking that we'll get that as a drop sometimes this year.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, they kind of did the same thing with Persona, where they said, Persona 5's coming, and then in the interim, they announced, the previous titles.
Yeah.
So that would be really
maybe
cool.
they're still working that out with Square probably. But this people are saying this game was kind of like out of the blue, and it's not that exciting because it's been announced. But I think this is really like the olive branch to Square because they've been working with Square to kind of build that relationship again. Now, I mean, I know this is also a rumor. This is a rumor, but people keep popping up that Final Fantasy VII Remake is probably going to be announced for Xbox. That's a big wait and see still.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, if anything, it'll be a 6-month or year exclusivity on Sony before they can probably even announce it. But one can hope. I think, just looking at the 5 games that they announced, you got to hand it to Microsoft. They do a well-rounded, diversified library of games. They don't just stick to like one kind of, over-the-shoulder cinematic, RGP light bow and arrow simulator. I mean, it's varied. And as someone who's like me, that I'm not a huge fan of Japanese RPGs, but I am a huge fan of role-playing games. So when I see something like this, and it is real-time combat, I'm always interested, and this gives me the chance to, on PC Game Pass, to try it out. We don't
know if this is Game Pass, but we'll see.
Oh, you don't think it is?
I mean, the thing is, it is in
I thought I read
Direct.
that.
Is it going to be Game Pass? Because I'd be happy.
Oh, you're right.
Was.
It doesn't say it. It just says Windows Series X and S, Windows PC. I thought I read that. Okay, well then.
You would think like it would
I ain't
be just
buying that.
because it's with that's fair. That's fair. I will probably buy it because I want to support the Mana franchise on Xbox. So.
Yeah, I mean if you're a fan of it. But again, when they have games like that on PC Game Pass, I try them out, and some of them I've liked. And some of them are just kind of, what I expect from a Japanese RPG that I don't like. But, again, it allows me to try things out that I like to try different genres. Even if I don't like the genre, if everyone's saying it's a good game and I can try it, why not? You can find some really, some of your favorite games that way. So this is the release date on this is summer 2024. How solid do you think that is?
I think that's probably true. I don't see this being delayed or anything.
Yeah, probably like May or June, something like that.
Yeah.
That would be good. That would fall into our next game. So if this came out after that, June, July, something like that, that'd probably be perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there anything else you want to add to Visions of Mana?
I mean, it was just mostly them talking, so I mean, there's not too much new. This will be a pretty safe game, but it's a game that should get a spotlight on Xbox. So I'm glad they showed it off here.
Yeah. Is it Mana or is it Mana? Which one do you say?
I say Mana.
I do too.
But I think a lot of people do say Mana, but
I don't think it matters. It's probably
doesn't
right.
matter.
It's probably one of those words that you can say it any way you want. All right. Well, let's go into the second. Excuse me. The next one that is no big surprise. This is Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, and we actually got a release date, and we got another
May 21st.
We got another. Here's our studio. Here's the star. Here's how we do things. This is it. I mean, I really wish they had just shown some gameplay. This is the only game that I wish that, we've seen the studio, we've seen who's making it, we've seen the star, we've seen everything about this game but the game. So they did show some stuff. It does look really good. It does look a lot like the first one as far as like combat and what you're going to be doing. It just looks a little bit bigger.
I think the combat looks better. Like,
it does, yeah. It was the combat in the first one's a little bit more of just a timing, like almost like a rhythm game, and they said that they really wanted to fix that with the second one and kind of make it a little bit more exciting and varied. But we did get a release date of May 21st for this.
So there's controversy on this title.
It is.
Right?
Well, there's going to be. I mean, it's an Xbox title, so it's going to be. But yeah, the controversy is that it is 8 hours long, which I have no problem with that. But it's also $50
and digital only.
That's
the big talking point, actually, because like I think this is where that whole Ubisoft thing kind of like ties in, like. You don't own your games, blah, blah, no physical. Like, there's a lot of discussion on that. But I mean, Alan Wake kind of did it last year too. So
Alan Wake did it and went on to be nominated for Game of the Year.
Yeah.
So physical. Really, the only thing you could look at is sales. There are some people that refuse to buy digital, which I don't understand. But you're just kind of blocking yourself from some really good games by not purchasing digital. But I don't know. I mean, do you think this is... What do you think about this?
About it being digital only?
Digital only, yeah. I mean, do you think this is going to hurt the game, or is it just going to... Does it matter?
I think if you're on Xbox, it doesn't, because you'll probably play it on Game Pass.
Right.
I feel it's worth $50? Probably not for me, because I probably won't get my value out of it by the time it goes on sale.
Yeah.
It
is going to be on Steam as well. So, I don't know. I mean, I'll play it. It's on PC Game Pass. I want to see what this game looks like.
Whether your computer can run it well.
Whether it's going to burst into flames or... the real Hellblade is the one that it shoves through your PC and it starts to smoke. But I don't have really any opinion at all on digital. If it's digital only, I'm perfectly fine with that. I wouldn't have gone to a store and bought a disc of this anyway. The same way with Alan Wake 2. I would prefer it to have been on Steam, but I wouldn't have gone to the store and bought this. So this is the future of games, folks. I mean, it's going to go digital. Now, $50 for 8 hours, if it's a really good 8 hours, I'm okay with that. If it's something I'm like, you get done with and you're like, I could totally play that again, then I don't have a problem with that. It wasn't long ago.
Did you beat the original Hellblade?
Yes.
How long
but
was
I don't know what my time was. It felt like it was about 8 hours, but I think I want to say it was shorter. But it was good. I don't know. I have to be careful how I word this to some people out there to take it the wrong way, but I think a good 8 hour game is worth more than a really crappy 100-hour game, right?
Yeah.
And as far as money, I've paid less money for a 100-hour game and got no enjoyment out of it, and paid more for an 8-hour game and gotten more enjoyment out of it. So it just really depends on the game, I think. Alan Wake 2 was also $50? Was it 50 or it was 50? Yeah,
it was 50.
And I haven't finished it yet. I don't know what the playtime is on that.
You're not in mood yet for it.
Not. It's hard to get back in that game, man. It's just so slow and weird. So I don't know, but I don't know. I mean, that's just it. It is what it is. It's digital only. It's 8 hours long. Just get Game Pass. You could pay $15 and play it for $15.
Yeah.
Just like anybody else. Okay, well let's move on. To
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Okay,
you love that name.
let's. I'm going to start with you because I've got some things to say, but
about the name or
about all of it.
All of it. Okay.
But yeah, what did you think of the showing of this?
The first thing I'll point out is Todd was not wearing a jacket.
Who?
Did you notice that? Todd Howard. Remember?
He wasn't.
He
wasn't on stage, so
that's true.
So that but he did steal the little idol at the end. Did you notice that?
Oh,
there was an idol in the background, and he kind of walked up and he took it. And,
I missed that part.
That's his idol, by the way. It's behind his desk.
Oh, I see. So he is looking a little old. Like he's starting to get a little tired, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably my age. But yeah, this is the first Indiana Jones game since 2006, 2007, something like that, I believe. No, there was a 2010 with the Wii game. It was a Wii. Yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, there was a Wii game for that. Anyway, so all in all, what did you think about this? What do you think of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle?
I thought this looked in line with what Machine Games would create, like just like that. Something about their art style kind of like shines through this game too. Now, when they revealed Harrison's Ford face, there's a slight uncanny valley to it. It's accurate, but then it's got that uncanniness to it. Then I'm like, maybe that's just a little Machine Game jank or whatever you call it, right?
Yeah.
It's just like their shine on it. But like I think before this we were talking about how we couldn't really imagine the whip kind of like how it would look, and I thought they did. It kind of exceeded my expectations on what it would look like. Like it looks a lot more dynamic than I expected.
Yeah.
Hopefully, like they said that you could do a lot of things with it, and more or whatever. But I'm curious as how utilized it will be in gameplay because there's a lot of jump cuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing I did notice was that that canned scream they use in
the Wilhelm scream. Yeah.
That's what it's called. Okay,
yeah, it's in there.
Heard that.
Yeah, I did too.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I got a laugh out of that. I thought that was pretty good. So yeah, that does show that they maybe they do understand the movies and what makes them fun. So, but yeah, let's of course start with the look of it. I like the look. It is almost stylized.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I want that or not. I kind of wanted a more realistic movie style of that because we really haven't gotten that yet. The fidelity, we haven't had an Indiana Jones game with the fidelity that we have now. And one of the things I was excited about is that the Machine Games uses the IdTech's, IdTech 5, I guess it's probably IdTech 6 by now, engine, which looks amazing.
Speaking of 6, right?
Yeah. The what?
Keep going.
Okay.
The rumor. Right?
I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about?
Quake
oh, 6? Yeah. We'll get to that in a second. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, they're using that engine. And I was hoping it would look better. I'm okay with the way it looks. The action sequences looked really good. The cutscenes, you're right, it's a little off. Like his face is just a little off. The animation seems to be just a hair off. And I wonder if it's because this is Indiana Jones in 60 FPS. It could be no more than that. Here are some characters that we're used to seeing, at 24 frames per second on a big screen, and then now we're seeing it at, I don't know. But
it's something about the animation or there's a lack of animation. I feel maybe that's it. Like
Yeah. Well, that leads us to the next hot topic. Is that this game is first person. It is. You're playing as Indiana Jones. You're not playing him in third person. You're playing in first person, which kind of draws up a lot of questions and a lot of apprehension from me because I'm not sure I wanted a first person Indiana Jones game. You know, Microsoft as a whole. I'll go over a small tangent. It seems to just like it would be so easy to give everybody what they want, and they know what everybody wants. It's what nobody's asking a lot from them, but they seem to just miss it. Just like every single time, they just miss it. It looks to me like this is the same thing. Like they're just about to miss it, and that kind of worries me. First person may not be the best choice for this game. With saying that, I also don't expect them to make a Uncharted clone or a Tomb Raider clone. But it's hard not to because who's Lara Croft and who's Nathan Drake without Indiana Jones? They're basic. Nathan Drake is obviously Indiana Jones. He's just an updated version of Indiana Jones. When somebody wrote the idea for that game down, that was probably the first line: updated Indiana Jones. Done. Let's make a game like that. So after multiple Tomb Raider games, multiple Uncharted games, how do you come back with the King with a third person game like that? I don't know. I don't know if anybody could do that. So maybe that's why they went first person. I don't know.
I think it's because of Machine Games.
I think so too. I mean, they do know first person. They've made they made Chronicles of Riddick under a different name, Starbreeze, I believe. But and that game was fantastic. I don't know if you ever played it, but it was. I mean, it was.
I've only heard of it. I never got too interested in it.
It was great. Graphically, it just blew everything out of the water at the time. But and I hope they kind of do that here. But one thing that does worry me is that Wolfenstein 1 and 2, there's a plus and a minus to this. There's a pro and a con. One is that the writing in those games was phenomenal. Like both of those games were like Pulp Fiction novels. I mean, it was just crazy stuff. I mean, he gets his head chopped off and gets put on another body. I mean, it's just, and they made it work. I mean, it was just fantastic writing. So with that, I'm super excited to see what they do with an Indiana Jones story. On the same side, the gameplay in both of those games was, in my opinion, not stellar. It just shoot, grab armor, shoot, grab armor.
I see what you're saying. So, I kind of felt that too.
So I don't know. Maybe those two will kind of come together. The fact that the writing, they have such good writing that they can write a better game, and have it in the gameplay.
I'm curious on the puzzles because they did say that you will have puzzles through your normal gameplay, but there are optional puzzles that are harder.
Yeah, one of the Tomb Raiders did this. I want to say it was probably the last one.
I think it was Rise, if I recall. Like there's optional tombs you could go to.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like there's the puzzle to get here, but if you want to go deeper, you can. Yeah. And it would kind of tell you that as you go. So. I think that's a good idea. I think if people want more of the Indiana Jones movie, they can do the simple one or whatever. And if people want more of an adventure game, then they can do the harder puzzles, which is great. But before I get away from it though, what are your thoughts on first person and third person?
I kind of expected first person. Like I was curious if they would try third person, but it seems like they're sticking to what they know. Yeah.
Are you okay with that?
Like I said, I want to see less jump cuts and see like a more pure, like straight up gameplay and get a real good feel for it. Because so the whole presentation I felt was mostly covering story, and then they may jumped and talked about puzzles a little bit, but you don't really see any major puzzles kind of being processed or whatever.
Well, we did get a good look at the game itself, though.
Yeah,
I mean, we get a good fair look at the tone that they're going for, the time. It's 1937 or whatever. And they did show kind of puzzle-ish stuff, but he does have his lucky lighter. He does have a gun. Obviously the whip may actually
it's funny
work.
when he whipped out his gun, but I don't think he shot it, right?
I think they clipped. It was like bang when they went to, but yeah, he the whip actually might work better in first person, if I think about it. But other than that, it's just the whole game itself looks kind of small. Like it looks like on a very small scale compared to what other Indiana Jones games or what other games like that, such as Tomb Raider and Uncharted, have done, with that style of character. And that's what I'm kind of worried about. I'm worried about that all these set pieces and everything are going to be tiny, like a little bitty tiny thing, much like Wolfenstein was. None of the areas in those games were, larger than a hallway. And I don't want that here. I want that, chase on a train or a boat or a bus.
So the
or
airplane
a
one,
truck or
was it where he's in the airplane and then jumps to the other airplane? Seems like it's a larger
it could
scale.
yeah
But it could be just like a set piece, kind of like what's a similar one? In Titanfall 2, that whole like air, you're in the air.
Yeah, where you're kind of like going,
like
which makes it does feel very big. So especially going from area to area. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I'll do that. So, but I don't know. This character, obviously if you can tell.
I see.
I'm a huge Indiana Jones fan, so I'm a little more picky about it, I guess, than most people.
Yeah, that's fair.
But also at the same time, Machine Games, again, their writing is excellent. Now, I wish they had gotten. There's a guy named I think his name is Lex Lang, and he did the voice for Han Solo in Battlefront 2. Mm-hmm. If you ever played that or even watch a video of it, the guy is perfect. He does Harrison Ford's voice. I mean, I had to look it up. I thought it was him. I thought it was Harrison Ford. I was like, wow, did he do his own voice? There's no way. And no, it's a guy named, I think it's Lex Lang. Anyway.
Troy Baker.
They got Troy Baker, yeah. Like, obviously Troy Baker is a good voice actor, but...
Did you think, his voice was okay from what you heard?
It's okay, but it's almost matches the look. It's close. It's just...
The uncanniness.
Exactly. It's almost, like everything about this trailer is almost Indiana Jones. Everything is just almost. So, I don't know. If they, probably this summer, because this will probably be a fall game or close to fall.
Yeah, it just says 2024.
It just says 2024. This is the game I'm guessing that probably will get bumped. Out of all of these, I think this will get bumped. But just to say that it's going to come out this year, we'll probably see something else during the summer, during their showcase this summer in June.
Yeah.
Probably maybe a gameplay snippet where he's beating the crap out of Nazis, which is, always fun. I mean, if you do first person punching right, it's fun. It's way more fun than third person. So we'll see. I will still play this game. I don't care. I'm a huge fan. I want to see what they do with it. But some of the animations from the third person perspective of like the cutscenes of him like swinging to the blimp, and oh god, they look terrible. They look terrible.
Well, maybe a little jarring. I think it kind of reminds me of what is it, Metroid Prime. They do a little bit of the third person, like transitions. So
well, that's okay if the animations look good, but these looked really plastic and just
it kind of takes you out of it.
Yeah, it didn't look good at all. It just didn't look. I think when you make a Star Wars game or an Indiana Jones game or a Harry Potter game, these are giant IPs. I think that it deserves an amount of quality, and if it doesn't get it, it's going to show, because these are the games that people play that they're not watching our show. They're not going to a website and reading about gaming. They just know that Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Harry Potter. I play it, right? They don't.
Yeah.
But so when they play it, and it's like everything's just a little bit off. They know that. They can tell that. So I don't know. And then there's the name. I mean, just
we know
the great.
We've come full circle.
Yeah. Exactly. I left that. Yeah, you caught me. I left that for last because we can come all the way around to this great circle of terrible names.
Yeah,
that's
I
a terrible
cringed a
name.
little bit
That's a terrible
he was
name.
saying it in the trailer.
And
he
even
said
in
the full name.
Even in he's like, if you connect all of these locations, you get a perfect circle. I'm like, if you connect any locations, you can get pretty much any shape you want. I mean, it just showed like you could have done in the. I don't know. That just makes me worry. The name. I mean, what is he even talking about? Like, the movies were based on religious artifacts that are known to that religion, right? So. I don't. What's the great? Is the Great Circle Halo? Is it? Are they going to tie into?
I think you're on to something.
Is that it?
It's a universe tie-in.
Is he going to end up like on a Halo and with Master Chief? And I might be okay with that. It's just like a total Xbox thing. I don't know, but I don't know. So anyway, man, I was excited and disappointed all at the same time. I'm just very mixed about it, to be honest. It's just I'm kind of it's complicated. That's how I'm going to stamp it. It's like, how do I feel about this? It's complicated. So but that did tie up the developer direct for 2024. I thought it's pretty good. I did notice there was an exclusion to this. And there was no shadow drop of the Phoenix collection or Gears of War collection of any manner, of any style.
They totally omitted that. I think they're preparing that for next week, right?
That'll probably they're going to shadow drop that any minute now. I mean, I should check right now and see if they did it.
Yeah.
No, they didn't. Okay. So, but yeah, I'll get over it again, Microsoft. So yeah, that tied it up. I thought it was a really good show. I'm excited for stuff. When's Sony doing theirs?
It's rumored this month still, so we got 9 more days left.
Yeah. So what's Sony gonna do next year? 2020 or this year? God, I keep thinking it's 2023. 2024. What has Sony got? I know we've got Rise of Ronin, which looks good.
Yeah, and Final Fantasy in February. What was it? Rise of Ronin? It's May, isn't it?
I think it's May. Is it May or June?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So, but those are all third party. So I don't know what they have that's first party, if anything.
I can't see anything being announced anytime soon.
Okay. So whatever they have, whenever their showcase is going to be, they're gonna have to fork out something first party.
Yeah.
So. Well, we'll discuss it then. But as of that, I think this ties up our show, man.
Yeah, it's a little bit lighter this week. I think the showcase was the major thing, and yeah, I enjoyed it too. I was hoping for a shadow drop as well. Honestly, if Vision of Zamano was a shadow drop, I would have been fine with that too.
That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, but it's a nice little surprise just to hear more about it. So
yeah, and it being a developer's direct, I mean they're emphasizing that more than they did even last year of just letting them talk about their game and show the game. I really wish Avowed was coming out sooner. I wish that was a spring game, because then I would have Dragon's Dogma 2 and Avowed to play.
Well, you need room for Dragon's Dogma 2, so maybe they're doing you a favor there.
Maybe, I don't know. I can play 2 RPGs at one time, I think. But and that drops in a couple of days. But when we excuse me. But anyway, I think that pretty much wraps it up. we're in January. This is looking really good for 2024. I mean, I can't get over it. We're in January and we've got some really interesting stuff to look forward to. I hope that all of it is good. That all of it that comes out is good. I hope Dragon's Dogma 2 is good. I hope Rise of Ronin is good. I hope it all is great.
Suicide Squad.
I hope that, again, we talked about it last week. That game could come out and end up being the new Destiny, where it's like, this game is trash. I can't stop playing it. It is so much fun. I give it a 48, but I can't stop playing it. It could be that thing. And right now, we don't really have that big budget game of service that's new. There's really nothing that's even coming out this year. I mean, what is it? Homeland. Not Homeland. What's the new division called? Home something.
Resurgence?
No. That's the phone game.
That's the mobile, right?
Yeah. We played the beta.
Is it? Oh man,
home something. Homefront. No, that's a different game. But anyway, Heartland. That's it. Yep.
Okay,
Heartland.
Okay,
yep.
We got it.
Yeah. So that's, I don't know. That's nowhere to be found. We haven't said anything about it. They had a beta.
And X Defiant.
X Defiance, DOA. Like, these could be hot right now. February, March. Those are good months to release those things. When did they release Apex Legends? February. They dropped it, and it blew up, and people are still playing it today.
This is the 5th anniversary, by the way, this year.
God, man, can you believe
crazy.
That?
Yeah.
I remember when they dropped that. Like, I remember sitting in my chair on my Xbox going, what are they dropping, and when can I download it?
Yeah. That means we need a shadow drop for this half of the year. That's where people seem to be doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it could be one of those. Ubisoft could shadow drop either one of those, because those are both free to play games. So they might suck. Who knows? But who cares? You just drop it. But we'll see. And if they do, then you heard it here first. We were right. So anyway, all right. Well, that wraps it up. You guys have a great week. And before we go, do you have any words for us?
I do.
Right.
This is from a friend's mom, and basically it is, the trouble with trouble is it starts out as fun. Yeah.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. Little mom wisdom.
The trouble with trouble is it starts out with fun. Okay. Well, I guess I'm in trouble, because this podcast was way fun. So anyway, all right. Have a great week, everybody.
All right. Catch you guys later.